You are comfortably zoned with the Zigzag Man in Alameda, California, pushing on the doors of life marked pull and fighting the unholy trinity as we go. Big business, organized religion, and government. I am back, and you are, as usual, comfortably zoned in Alameda, California. The 420 Studios down by the lagoon. So it's a good place to be. Sundays in Alameda at 420. Wow. Can you beat the excitement, huh? Our guests are a native Alamedan, born and raised in Alameda, and her partner, who was raised where? In Berkeley, am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Berkeley.
All right. Anne-Marie Gilpin and Sean McArdle, they're returning to these airways, and they're musicians, and they've played all around, and they're delightful to, if you're in the Bay Area, try to look them up, because they're delightful to go out to a mellow venue that has just an easygoing audience, which is the plural of audience for those of you Republicans out there who might not have a hard time putting that one together. But that's just my opinion. You're gonna get it. You keep at it, you guys, huh? That gun control thing, wow, I'll tell you, you guys are smart. Shouldn't have any of those. There haven't been yet enough kids killed in schools and stuff. And let's say this, let's put some more guns in bars in Georgia. I think I'm for that, because what could happen? What could go wrong? Anyway, that's just me ranting. But you guys have been on a trip to Korea, and not North Korea, South Korea, am I correct? Yes, good. We agree on that. I don't want the FBI down here. You're not a sympathizer of anything that's silly, or either way. South Korea, North Korea, any government is silly. But and then you went up to Japan, and you played your music and what have you. So I'm going to hand you this and have you guys chat with each other about your trip and what you got out of it, and just elaborate on it.
All right.
Who wants to go
Talk
first?
Into it, talk loud.
How'd you like Korea, Anne-Marie?
I loved Korea. It was definitely a fun place to be. It was an experience. There are good things and bad things. It certainly helped having a local friend there to stay with and take us around Seoul, and feed us the good things, because when left to our own devices, we certainly did try some things that were maybe not the best. But I enjoyed the kimchi and the bibimbap and kimbap, and the people there are very friendly. What were your...
And it was helpful that our friend Gabe worked for a company called K-Pop United that was connected to the music scene in South Korea, and introduced us to some fabulous musicians that helped us set up shows. And we met this great drummer named Anton that played with us, and he's got a band there called Romantica, and they're fantastic.
He's actually from America.
Yes,
as well.
That's right.
We got really lucky with him.
What part of America is he from?
He's from... I always forget.
Michigan, Illinois, Minnesota, somewhere in the Midwest.
Yes. So you're getting an introduction to all cultures. Doesn't matter what country they're in, different cultures within each country at times.
That's true. And actually, Korea has the biggest population of American and Canadian expats in the world. So
really?
Yep. There was a lot of Americans there.
There's a fair amount of expat bars too, but we only went into one or two of those.
Okay.
Wearing olive drab or camouflage uniforms.
Well, come here and talk into the...
We didn't see a whole lot of that. We saw a few military types, but most of the people we met were English teachers.
Yeah, lots of English teachers, actually. The musicians there that we played with, just, sharing shows and stages with, they were all great folks. I think every show we played afterwards, we got to hang out with them and eat and drink too much soju and have real nights on the town and play what they karaoke over there is called noribang. And so we did a fair amount of that into the wee hours of the morning. Japan was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
We got to do some very nice hikes and experience the Japanese onsen, which is the hot springs.
We were up in the mountains, and we were at the end of a long hike that took us around through different shrines and temples and through a lot of natural scenery. And then at the end, we got the onsen. Right when the sun was going down, you could just see the silhouette of the ridge against the sky, and it was fabulous.
It was great. We didn't play any shows in Japan, but we did do an open mic at a very friendly little tiny bar, no bigger than this living room. But it was great.
And anything you didn't do that you'll do on the next trip? Or?
Oh, man. Well, we were in Japan only for a week, so it was just enough to get a little taste.
Yeah.
And
okay.
There's a lot we didn't see.
But I do recommend, if you're going to... Most people would probably pick Japan over Korea. Fly into Korea, because you'll save money that way, too. And you'll get to see two different places.
Yeah.
I would have liked to spend more time in Busan.
Yeah, in Korea.
Okay. What's your next adventure? What are you planning for? I know you guys plan well into the future.
We're doing a tour in Italy in November, and I'm hoping to extend it also to parts of Germany, Austria, and France.
Beautiful.
So.
Hey, I'm glad you keep stopping by to these microphones.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I'm going to end the segment in a very reduced, simple way. Keep your dreams wet and your humor dry. And keep on keeping on, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I am back, comfortably zoned at the 420 studio at the Lagoon, De Lagoon in Alameda. And this is a special occasion because we are bi-coastal, which is the way I like it. I'm a New Yorker. I'm from Jackson Heights, Queens. I went to Newtown High School. I lived at 3223 91st Street, and I resided in apartment 201 for the first years of its existence with Northridge. And maybe 4 or 5 years later, after we had sold the apartment, my family sold the apartment and moved upstairs, Eric Chapman and his family bought the apartment, and we both lived in the same frickin' apartment 50 years ago. And I'm welcoming him to these microphones as we speak. How you doing, Eric?
Fine, Ralph. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I chose this. I chose the topic today of sports memorabilia, and I wanted you on as a guest because one of the things, after acquainting ourselves with each other all these many years later through a reunion site on Facebook of the neighborhood we both grew up in, I originally got in touch with your sister, Madeline, who lived in Jackson Heights as well, and very same apartment. I got to meet you, and the similarities in our lives, incredible in terms of sports fanaticism, collecting baseball cards, lifelong passion. You mentioned that you only have but 2 suitcases full of baseball cards from those years.
Yeah,
so,
they're
yeah, absolutely. And I asked you, in I don't even know if you got the message on Facebook in preparation for the show, to just so we could talk about some of our old heroes growing up. If you could pick out 5 baseball cards, and we've done this before, you're a return visitor to Comfortably Zoned, and we have fun talking about the old sports days. Shea Stadium, growing up in New York, Newtown High School. It was terrific days, terrific growing up in Queens, New York, and in particular Jackson Heights, and in particular Northridge, which was a co-op development that had 16 units in a 4-block ratio with like 66 people, families to a unit. And
a lot of kids in the neighborhood to play with, yeah.
Yeah, hundreds of kids, and we all gravitated to the little cliques of folks that were our favorites. And somebody asked me the other day, did you have fights on the schoolyard? We didn't have fights. We had arguments. We had verbal stuff. But I don't remember having very many fights in my day. Now, you're 15 years younger than me, if not more.
Yeah, we have fights in our day.
Oh, did you really? Okay.
Yeah, there are some pretty good ones.
Okay. What would trigger the fights? Because ours were generally solved by talking it out, what have you. What would trigger the fights?
Not so much us, just, we'd be playing football, or that like the Latin Tops, the gangs or something like that would come through the park or stuff like that. I mean, remember just really a couple fights up at PS 149, and the cops come, and we always just pack our shit up and take off running, pretty much. No one really. People used to come through the neighborhood once in a while and mess with us on their way to the park or something, or remember we got our footballs or our stuff stolen once in a while,
Oh, really?
Nothing crazy, though, like you hear on the news today. Nothing like that,
Yeah. The neighborhood itself is
rejuvenated. So our neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting better from what I understand, and
it's never where we went out and we were like scared to go out or anything like that. But there were some fights, and I remember when I got my bicycle stolen, and my mom took me up to the park, on the 90th Street Park.
Right.
And she brought me into this crowd of I don't know how old I was, a little kid, and these guys could have been about 14 or so, and she said, "Is this your bike?" I'm like, "Yeah." They painted it, though. It was black. They painted it blue, some light blue. She told me to get on it, and then the guy that took it or whatever, my mother started yelling at him and scolding him, and I was like so embarrassed I couldn't get out of there fast enough. And I'm thinking, my mom is Superman. What the fuck?
That kind of runs in your family a little bit. So that story does not surprise me whatsoever. That's a great story, though. I'll tell you what, my mother went to, when I wasn't paying attention in the 3rd grade, I had something like ADT or something. They had no recognition of that sort of thing in those days. My mother, when the teacher told her that I wasn't paying attention, she said, entertain him, be interesting. He'll pay more attention if you were interesting. You could imagine how Miss Silverstein didn't like me for the rest of my life, the rest of her life, the rest of my time in the 3rd grade for sure. But my mother was the same way. Would stand up for her kids, right or wrong or indifferent. She did that a number of times in my life, and I kind of miss her. I remember riding the elevator with your mom. Right.
I remember your mom. You put that picture up of her. I don't never forget a face. I'm like, wow, I remember that face just sitting in the elevator and that uncomfortable silence of staring at each other, and I was just a little kid,
Right. Not much to say.
A lot of them faces in the elevator. I was just a little pain in the ass kid that nobody could stand, roller skating around and shooting hockey pucks and kicking footballs all over the building,
Right. We did the same stuff. I grew up on the roof, and I've told the story on the air before, and it was a tall roof, and the people on the 6th floor, you'd walk around, they'd hear every step. and I blank on the woman's name. Her grandmother, she was a famous. She played. I am blanking on it all, but.
Jessica Walters.
Jessica Walters. She'd come visit her grandmother on the 6th floor, and
her grandma was an Amazon.
She was a tall woman, a leggy woman,
huge legs and those stockings pulled up, and oh my God! At the time, she looked like an Amazon to me.
She was no spring chicken when I was growing up, and she was white. She had white hair back then, and she didn't like kids, and she just was an old grump.
You knew it too by the look on her face. She hated you. She just had that "I hate you" look on her face.
Right. My mother, when you go up in the elevator, she had the look of what do I have to buy at Walmart? she was a million miles, but she wasn't hating anybody. This woman was hateful. Yeah. So we, particularly because we know she's hateful, trick or treat on Halloween. She'd never respond to the kids. You know, what are you dressed as? I'm dressed as you old bitch. It was a good experience in that building, and I miss it. So, and when you were growing up, the Mets were already there. So your first experience with baseball cards and the sports world was the Mets. I want to ask you, you had interactions with Matt Snell, came to the Ford garage on the corner, and someone else, I remember you telling me.
Yeah. We had Jerry Grody drove up while we were playing stickball to get a car one summer. He was a Texas guy with hat on. Matt Snell, that was wintertime for the Jets, and Emerson Boozer, running back for the Jets.
Right, and a good one, too. Emerson Boozer and Matt Snell, the year that Namath took them in 1968 to beat Baltimore so they could have a merge of the two leagues and done properly. That was a very, very big game. Yeah, cool. People would walk by.
We used to play football right up the corner there, and the guys working in the garage there would tell us that he's, who's going to be coming, and we get ready for him. Jerry Grody was cool. He got out, and he was watching us pitch and hit the ball, and he was there to get a car. We were just a bunch of 13-year-olds, but that was pretty cool.
That was very cool, I bet. I remember, and I just blanked on this guy's name. We were standing out in front of the candy store in 1964, and I had it. Milwaukee Braves pitcher that came to the Mets. He was a tall, gangly guy, just came walking. He lived in the neighborhood, came walking out as we're talking ball on the corner. Baseball was everything in those days. Sports, talking ball, playing ball. It was a good place to grow up.
Yeah.
I posted something about Le Grand Orange, Rusty Staub, the other day, and you reacted.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the favorite player of your mom and dad.
It is, Rusty. And Eddie Kranepool was the bum.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it in '73 when Milner took over as the first baseman, the Hammer. And
I loved Tom Milner.
Yeah, he was great. So, tell me a little bit about where you live in now, up in Syracuse. Now, it's spring all over. What's the weather like in Syracuse? Because I spent a month in Florida a couple of months ago. I'm back in California. It's unbelievably nice weather-wise in both places. And it's unbelievably nice in Syracuse for you because you're a snow guy. Is it still any snow on the ground at all?
Oh, God, no. It was like almost 90 degrees today.
Oh, okay. So, wow, you weren't lying. You said it goes from winter to summer with no spring.
Very little spring, yeah. I mean, up north, 20 miles from here, there was still a nice snowpack on the ground come around Mother's Day,
Right.
Not here in the city. It was warm. We went to the Extravaganza. We were in Chittenango, New York, this little village about 20 miles east of Syracuse, and it's a big Wizard of Oz. They have a parade. Because L. Frank Baum, the guy who wrote The Wizard of Oz, is from Chittenango, New York, so they have like this big do every year. So we were there, me, the wife, and the puppy went there and walked around the town, get out of the city. I mean, there's no more. They used to have the Munchkins there, and one by one, they're all fading away. This was the first year that no original Munchkins are at the parade. They're all gone.
Oh, that is very sad. We also lost Mickey Rooney this year.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's the older you get. My grandmother warned me about this. You lose relatives, friends. It's almost it takes away the quality of life. As you may know, and a lot of my listeners and friends know, I lost my sister-in-law emeritus earlier on this year, and to a deadly disease of cancer. And a month after she was gone, there was an article that came out about how Nixon covered up cannabis, hemp, as a possible cure for cancer. This is 30, 40 years ago. And he stopped all research from being done because he couldn't disassociate himself with his intellect, wouldn't allow him to do this. He was so anti-marijuana from the cannabis itself and the hemp. And there are some on the books right now. There are some laws that are so antiquated in terms of restricting cannabis and hemp, and it's nuts, and it's all brought to us by the lobbyists for big business, alcohol, tobacco companies, wood, the producers of timber, and what have you. And
all the chemical companies, making drugs.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
You can't patent the plant. That's why they won't. You can't. That's why they won't even look at it. You can't put a patent on a plant. But you can't tell that to DuPont or any other company.
No, the drug company.
Back in the days, you'd get jailed for not growing hemp for the war. You got to grow it for the war.
Right.
How did things change so much? When my dad was 10 years old, hemp was still legal in 1937. And then it got outlawed as the devil weed. How did it all get turned around so bad?
Well, they were worried that you might...
they were worried because if you smoke weed, you might fall under the influence of listening to jazz music.
Right, with black musicians. You wouldn't want your daughter to do that under any circumstances.
Oh, no way. If you smoke weed, it may make a white woman look at a black man twice.
Right.
So they outlawed it.
And once you go black, you never come back. So
they outlawed it as the devil weed, and that was it.
Right.
Now things are starting. I think things are changing around, but now I got a lot of buddies in Seattle, and they send me a bunch of stuff, and now, of course, Monsanto wants to dip their toes into the well, you know what I mean?
And just not only spray the shit and poison it. Yeah, spray the shit and poison it so that they can get rid of those. Big business don't want a bunch of workers who are, quote, lethargic. They don't want people who think within themselves. They don't want people who examine stuff, because if they examine stuff, they'll say, wait a minute, you guys are making billions of dollars and canceling our pensions, and we're working all our lives and getting up in the morning and coming home and raising kids, and there's nothing left. And they don't want you thinking too much about that. That'd be bad stuff.
Yeah.
So there's another thing on Facebook, and a lot of people on the show who listen to the show know that I fight the Un-Holy Trinity, which is organized religion, not religion, organized religion, big business, and government. I think they conspire to kill us all. But here was a good example of that. There was something on Facebook that we both responded to, and my free flow thinking process allows me to forget that for what it was this week, and it was something outrageous. It was either cops shooting neighbors' dogs for making a disturbance. And by the way, if you're out there, anytime there's a little problem, if you really want to escalate it and make it a big problem, call in someone from law enforcement. They'll come in, they'll overreact, and make things worse. And I remember being a kid and people say, well, if you were in trouble, who would you want to call, a hippie or a cop? Fuck, I'd want to call a hippie any old time. Any old time. So that's the way the world is. That's the way it's turned out. But we have good men.
Yeah, it's something else. I know some good cops, and I know that cops that are cool with me. And I know that you could tell if you're being approached by a cop and he's got like a flat top, you may as well fucking kiss your ass goodbye, man. You're done.
Well, here it's a little porn mustache. In California, in Alameda especially, I won't say all cops in Alameda because I'm too visible in this little small town walking around the streets. Actually doing
We got cops there in Syracuse. I was under the truck changing the fuses. You know, I'm all like laying up under in the floorboard there.
Right.
And this was last summer, and so a guy comes up to me and he shows me a guy's picture with a badge. He's like, yo, you know this guy? And it was a cop, dressed just like a straight-up homeboy, man. His pants sagging down his ass and everything. I mean, this was a Syracuse police officer dressed for the street. I was like, whoa, no, I don't know that dude. Wow, really, you're a cop, huh? Holy shit. And there's a lot of cops driving around here and fucking beat up, rusted up cars and everything. We had a drug bust. Yeah, we had a drug bust, and it looked like a gut wagon, a canteen wagon on a construction site. Bunch of big dudes in Buffalo Bill sweatshirts and shit got out with the battering ram and bashed in the Cuban's door. Fucking arrested them.
Really?
They don't dress like cops around there, a lot of them. They just dress like me.
So that's discouraging because it's not just in the big cities. It's not just in the southern states. It's in Upper New York. Upper New York was considered very, safe, good people, no gangs, and things are different. The cops
things are
become
changing.
gangs.
Just everything changes over time, and the music, the influence, people listening to it, people running around the streets with guns and shit, thinking they're fucking Lash LaRue.
Right. Well, I was talking.
And you go up to the country, it's different. You got more like country cops, and those are the ones that scare me. The ones in the city don't scare me at all here, not at all. Because they're looking for heavy-duty gang-banging and stuff like that, you know. I'm just a farmy-looking white boy. They don't really fuck with me. But in the country, if I get pulled over, I get a little nervous. For sure. And I'm not talking. You don't got to go far out of Syracuse to be in the Toolies either. You know, 5 miles and you're out in the sticks around here. You know.
Right. Well,
and then you got all like pistol meth labs. That's what goes on like out in the country. And in the city is more like gang and shit. You know.
In California, in the Bay Area, if you go like 50 miles north up towards Santa Rosa, Clear Lake, and places like that, or east toward Pleasanton, Dublin, way out Tracy, way out there, meth labs run rampant in these places. Meth is a big, big thing in this country right now. I think it's the worst drug, and if you combine it with another drug, alcohol, you really got some big problems in this country. If they're still going after marijuana smokers after all these years, and they don't see the epidemic of meth and alcohol and the combination of both, they're stupid fucks, and it becomes, our society is going to become just natural selection. If the people are so stupid that they're going to fade out eventually, if they do, I mean, based on who they elect, who represents them, I see the society. I mean, I hate to be negative because I got a kid or two, and I want them to have a happy life, and I want my future grandkids to be happy. I have a vested interest in a whole bunch of kids that are in my extended family.
I hear you, Ralphie. I'm right there with you. I know. I don't know. I'm in Colorado. It's a start, but me myself. I mean, I used to grow this stuff myself. I mean, awesome weed, a nice indoor setup, and I haven't touched it now in 10 years. You know,
really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
But I used to be in it really hardcore, and I grew the best. I grew it, and I would still do it that way, just because for my own personal OCD, cleanliness, and all that. You know, just like having my own batch of weed. You know, I used to grow my own little strains. We would go up north and get nice mother clones, and it's so easy. I mean, it's just so simple to grow. When you're thinking about it and looking at it, you're like, wow, this is like illegal. I mean, too much.
Absolutely too much.
It's stupid. When you think all things that, I mean, forget about just smoking weed and the whole low-energy stoner vibe thing. I mean, the things that the plant can be used for. I mean, the oils and trees. I mean, cutting down trees or just cutting them down, just fucking wiping our ass with our own future. Wiping it goodbye when you could easily just fucking grow a bunch of acres of fucking marijuana plants, and then when it's all chopped down, fucking grow another crop, you know? Instead of fucking cleaning out fucking the redwood forest, for Christ's sakes, you know what I'm saying?
Not just that, cotton, without the boll weevil, you could grow hemp and replace cotton. They have the technique now. It is so soft and so durable, and cotton attracts the boll weevil. Monsanto sprays. It kills the boll weevil, but it puts stuff in the air that you wouldn't want in the air if you're interested in preserving a future generation. And just for cotton, smoking a J as opposed to drinking, having a sip of whatever you can make a case that it gets you high and it doesn't give you a hangover and it's less harmful to your system. It
was the best. I mean, I smoked it my whole life. I got a real addictive personality. So when I was on it, I mean, from the moment I got up, I was just sucking bongs. I mean, all day long. It was like my most favorite thing to do.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
When I learned how to grow it in '89, forget it. I mean, I got my own setup and my own systems, and trust me, when Eric quit smoking weed and growing it, people around here were like, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah." And when I just stop, I just stop. When I get tired, I'm done. And who knows for how much longer, you know?
I would not encourage you one way or the other. It's got to come from you, whatever you want to do. Some people have a need to change their consciousness, and some people don't. And some people don't for a while and then do, and some people do for a while and then don't. And either way, you have to please yourself because you're going to give up certain things by being who you are. And
I love it so much. I do. I loved it so much. I mean, just the smell. I mean, just looking at a plant and how the buds are going, saying, "Ooh," you know, and just flipping them, and drying them.
It's a beautiful plant to grow. I was blessed with an indoor setup. It wasn't hydroponic, and but it was around the same.
Oh, hydroponic. I don't like hydroponic. Some chemicals.
Oh, this is dirt. This is dirt plants, and I get up in the morning and see some days you get up and you go, whoa, what a difference between yesterday and today with that plant. It had like a growth thing that would go nuts. Sometimes it would take a little longer, and sometimes the plants would be male, and you'd have to get them out of there. And
no males.
But you were cloning, right? So that
right, no males never.
Right.
No males. So now my growing, I grow like these enormous sunflowers. I mean, they're like superstars. I mean, I put them in the state fair every summer.
Do you take pictures of them?
Oh yeah, I got tons of pictures of them, and I grow them right here in the city.
Put them up on Facebook.
I use chicken manure. I get them started. I built like a little cover for them to get them started because our springtime is cold, like I told you, so I can get an early jump. And I bring them in there, and I'm competing against farmers and dudes from the country, and I'm like me from the north side of the city, and they're like, wow, how do you get them this? And I'm not growing for head size on them. I'm growing for height, but the heads are just coming with them. For some reason, I developed a green thumb, and I don't know where it comes from because I'm totally just a ham and egger from the sitting area with my baseball cards in my pants, you know? That's all I ever was. You know?
And a rubber band around the cards, right?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. My God, if you've seen my baseball card collection, not just baseball, football, basketball, hockey, Lou Alcindor before he changed his name to Jabbar, you know, really young Lou Alcindor cards. Fuck, I go through them, I'm like, wow, these are great cards. Really great.
Syracuse is a minor league team while I'm thinking about it. I think for the Rangers, am I correct? There's two Rangers playing that were Syracuse alum.
No, that was Derek Brassard and Derek Dorsett played for the Rangers. They played for the Syracuse Crunch for us.
Oh, okay.
They were in the Rangers organization, and they were with us at Syracuse when we were with the Columbus Blue Jackets. They went up to Columbus, and then they got traded away to the Rangers. They were both. I sent a picture, you've seen it, of my wife getting an autograph with Derek Brassard when he was here in Syracuse. And Derek Dorsett is my wife's favorite player. He's a wicked grinder, man. Snarly little dude that beats you up in the corners. We loved watching him play here in Syracuse. 2 seasons we had both of them here.
He's playing in the Stanley Cup right now.
Oh, yeah. And when the Rangers beat the Canadians in the semifinals there, the Canadians' goalie in net was Dustin Tokarski, who played for Syracuse Crunch just last season. That was our guy in the pipes, the guy that was in the nets for the Montreal Canadiens this year.
In the semis.
That's who the Rangers beat was Dustin Tokarski, goaltender for the Canadiens. He was our guy in the pipes last year, right here in Syracuse. I love it, man. We see a lot of stars come
watching
here.
These guys come up in any sport, baseball, minor league baseball, which I've followed for all these many years since my Tops days. Watching them come up and seeing them make the bigs is just cool as fuck.
That's my favorite. I was talking with my friends, and I'm telling them I'm a minor leaguer. They're like, "Why don't you go up to Montreal? Check out." I'm a minor leaguer, man, through and through. I love it. I really do. I've been this way for 20 years. I love seeing them. We got the stadium right down the road from us. Syracuse Chiefs. We're in first place for the first time like ever. We're Washington Nationals farm team. You know?
All right. One more thing before I let you go.
Too.
I want to ask you one more thing, and that's to both of us have in common that we just didn't like Newtown High School. We didn't like high school.
Hated it. Hated school in general.
Was there? So I don't want this to be a negative question. Overall, we both hated it, but there were things. Obviously, you can't be there as many hours as we were there, and not. What was it that you liked? Was there one teacher that was pretty cool that could get you through?
That's
or
hard.
Advisor?
I gotta tell you, Newtown was a wash for me. I guess it would be my track coach, and that's all I cared about. I was running track.
All right.
That was like it. I mean, I would cut school and then wait till track practice. I like competing. I love that. As far as being in school, hated it. I had no patience. I couldn't understand what anybody was telling me. It didn't make sense to me. It never did.
Right.
Running track and competing, you know, staring at another guy that we're going to go toe-to, that made sense to me. Running against somebody or staring down a pitcher, all of that stuff. I was aces. I was a dynamo at sports. Elm Jack Little League, running track, all of that. I hated fucking school. I hated it. I really couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it from the moment I started. I just hated it. I couldn't wait to get out. I love gym and I love sports. I got all my report cards here. They're all identical. Eric doesn't pay attention to class. Eric doesn't. I failed. Okay. You want to know, teacher that really clicked for me was I had to go to Windsor Summer School to make it to the 10th grade, and we had this teacher. She was cool, like a hippie, 23 years old. She was the kind of lady that like sat in a yoga position on the top of her desk. We had to read Mice and Men. I actually kind of read it and understand it. She helped me, and I passed, and I made it to the 10th grade. That's probably the coolest teacher I think I ever had. It was in summer school. I can't remember her name.
Very nice.
Like curly brown hair, and she was like really cool. All the teachers I always had were these fat old fucks that just sat there. We used to have Miss Russo. She'd sit there sipping out of her flask, out of her desk, and just what a big fucking waste of time it was, man. A big waste of time. I quit school.
You quit school and went to the Navy.
I quit school at 16, and I joined the Navy. I joined the Navy at 16, got all my tests done and everything. My parents had to sign for me, and then I had to wait till I turned 17, and I left for Great Lakes, Illinois to boot camp, and that was good for me. You know, it was different. It was marching, and we still had to do learning, but it was kind of different. I still had trouble picking. To this day, I have trouble picking shit up. I don't pick things up fast. When I do, after I get it, I get it permanently. Navy was good. I got my GED. Fucking went around the world a few times over, you know.
Right. You had good positive
I like
experiences.
S-127, IS-145. You know, that as soon as I got to high school, I remember I was done. And I remember my friends, and they're all excited. The first day of 9th grade, I was not like that. Summer vacation didn't last long enough for me. I used to get mad at my buddies because they're, like, getting ready for school and getting their fucking supplies. And, like, you got your supplies? I'm like, I got a pencil in my ear, and I got a couple pieces of paper folded up in my back pocket. And that's all Eric needs. Fuck it, man. I'm going to grow weed.
You know what? One of the things I really love about you is the way you raised your daughters to compete athletically, much the same as you competed athletically. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
That's the one thing I was able to instill in them, Ralphie boy, was sport. It's the only thing I know. That's it. You know, I taught my kid, she's a southpaw. Taught her how to throw a nasty hanging curveball. A girl.
Right. And that, see,
I mean, the whole thing, how to look down, how to watch your runner. I mean, she fucking brought the heat, man. She threw like a dude.
That's
my youngest daughter, not so much.
Gender stuff. And it'll make her so much stronger through life, just having the confidence to know that she did compete. And very, very cool.
She was good. Captain of her softball team in high school.
All right.
You know?
Okay, I want to broach one more subject with you. This is something near and dear to your heart, and that is not that PETA is near and dear to your heart by any stretch. I want you to talk a little bit about what bugs you about PETA. You're a dog lover, dog owner, and...
oh, guys, you know about me and that. I mean, geez.
Right.
You know, ethical treatment of animals and all that. You could read negative things. Google it online, negative treatment. They waste dogs, man. All animals, they waste them. People donate to them because they just hear about PETA. It's like with the weed. You know, people think that the people that never smoke weed are so bad and they know nothing about, like, what the weed can do for the earth and stuff, but people just hear about it. We got a little puppy, he's cuter than fuck. And most people ask us, are you going to fight him? A 4-month-old puppy, how can you sit there and ask me if I'm going to fight my dog? This is the way that the world is. All my Facebook is all about pit bulls. Everybody, pretty much all my friends are pit bull people, pit bull kennels. I can relate to them because they all get the same kind of shit that I get. They're like the coolest dogs ever, man. They are. People don't realize that.
With the white shoes, I was thinking
Pony Boy
shoes.
is gone. Pony Boy is gone.
Really?
Yeah, that dog I showed you with the 4 white Nikes.
Right.
That's my new guy. He is the grandson of my Bam Bam that we had to put down 2 years ago. He's my new boy. Pony Boy is on loan down at Wild Yellow Kennels in Louisiana, starting himself a stud career. I got Junior now, and he's staying with me. He acts just like my other dog. He's a grandson of Bam Bam, my other dog. He's the best, this guy here. You seen those pictures of him with his 4 white feet?
Yeah, the 4 white feet. That's very cute. I was thinking of
Can't
white
live
shoes.
without these guys. These guys they're my fucking weed. Their enthusiasm for life is my fucking, gets me up in the morning, you know? Really, these dogs, I mean, they supersede fucking everything for me. I got into these pit bulls in 1990 and never stopped. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people out there like me, even more hardcore. You know, I mean, just as enthusiastic for these dogs. I mean, PETA, the Inhumane Association, all those fuckers, they could all fucking suck it, man. They're all full of shit. They're all about money. They're fucking butchering animals left and right. There's so much shit I could tell you. It's fucking... People would just think I'm lying. I talk to people all the time out in town.
Why don't you take this opportunity to tell me and my audience something that wouldn't surprise me, because I know you're not a liar, and I know you wouldn't lie, and you're not even an exaggerator. There are some people that exaggerate shit for their own benefit or whatever. You're not even that. So why don't you
the stuff that I spout out to you is shit that comes down the pipe to me from older people and that have been in the dog game a lot longer than I have. I mean, I know people that had yards of dogs that had them destroyed by the HSUS, came right to their yard. I mean, they're doing this down south, not so much in the north, not yet, but down south, they're straight up fucking going Nazi on these fucking dog pit bull kennels. Seriously, I mean, I sent you videos. My dog that I have now, 4 white feet, his great-grandparents were slaughtered right down in North Carolina. The HSUS came in and slaughtered 164 dogs. They murdered 69 2-week-old puppies just for being pit bulls and saying what they are going to grow into be. This is a humane association. This is no shit right out in North Carolina. This is huge down there. I mean, it's fucking crazy, man. There's people down there. I mean, you can't. It's insane. They don't do stuff like that up here in New York.
Good. I'm glad we're both from New York, and I'm glad we have these wonderful memories. Hey, I got to close the segment. I want to implore you and all the listeners out there simply to keep your dreams wet and your humor dry and keep on keeping on, and ask you to keep coming back from time to time and blessing these airways, because it's terrific talking to you.
Ralphie boy.
All right, Norton. Nothing. We watched that both of us. We both grew up watching that show. You had watched the repeats, and that was a terrific show. As good as it gets.
It still is.
And The Odd Couple. We had some great shows.
All of it.
In common. Yeah.
Dude, I was 14 years old. I would lift weights all night watching Honeymooners, and then I would crack a couple of my dad's cold Peels beers, crawl under my bed, put the covers over my head. At 14 years old.
Very good.
201.
I remember Peels. I hadn't thought about Peels. I think about Rheingold and Schaefer every now and again because they sponsored the Dodgers and the Mets and whatever. But Peels was particularly not good, if I remember correctly, for one reason or another. I wasn't a beer guy. But
I wasn't either. I was just drinking what my dad had in the fridge. I'm talking about a 14 kid.
Yeah. And so, special hello to your sister Maddie from me and to you. I'm sure she's listening because we'll send her a link. And if you speak to her, say hi from me. And you get down to Florida to see your parents. They're down there, and I'm trying to be bi-coastal.
I got to get down there, though, yeah.
That'd be cool. We'll hook up maybe in the spring down there.
What part do you go to?
Well, this last time I went to West Palm Beach, which is near Fort Lauderdale. And
that's where my parents are, Fort Lauderdale, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, this time of year, it is absolutely balmy. I can't say the weather is that much better than Alameda because blessed up here also. But winters would be a little hot for me in Florida, and winters would be a little cold for me in California. So I'd like to go down there during the winter and early spring and just get the energy from both coasts because it's certainly.
Oh yeah, you think of spending winters in Florida?
I am indeed. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Trying to get it together to do that, which takes some adjustment and takes some planning. But that's my goal is to live on both coasts and maybe get to see New York in spring. I haven't seen that in many, many years. And
you took the bus, right?
Yeah.
You should rent yourself a car, man.
Yeah.
Go on Priceline. Rent yourself a car. You could get a car, a nice new car for cheap, and just drive yourself. You know?
Cross, you mean? Well,
yeah, we went down to South Carolina to pick up Pony Boy. We went on Priceline, and you could bid what you want to pay. We got a brand new Chevy Cruze for $8 a day, and we got the insurance, so it cost us $20 a day. It was 2 days.
Really?
Because I drove down to South Carolina, down and back. So we rented the car for $40 plus our gas. The Chevy Cruze got 41 miles to a gallon. I think we paid around 125 in gas. It was a 925-mile trip each way, and I drove pretty much nonstop. But we got the car for $40. We could have got it for less than that, but we chose to get the insurance in case we something blew a tire or some shit, you know.
Right, or you hit somebody.
You go on Priceline and get a car for $8, $10, $12 a day. You know, brand new 1-2-year-old car, a little Chevy Cruze, a little peppy car that gets really good gas mileage. Much cooler than taking that fucking Greyhound, man. Drive yourself.
That was torturous, I have to say, on some levels, but it was interesting as well. And next time
it's
I'll
interesting, but
look into
ain't interested in it.
I'd rather. Do they have?
You go on Priceline. I could show you how to do it. It's simple. You mark in the dates you want it, and then you bid. And they almost always accept your bid. You know? Almost always done it a few times. My buddy does.
Very cool
do it.
Because I could see doing that 40 miles to the gallon. The gas is almost economical it's almost economical enough to go back there for, if not as cheaply as the bus, damn near.
Plus, you go on yourself, you know, fucking hang your foot out the window, light up a spliff, turn on the tunes, and just kick back, you know, cruise yourself. Fuck that Greyhound scene. I've done that a few times. I'd rather hitchhike or go to a truck stop and fucking hot shot me a ride with a truck driver cross country. Well, fuck the Greyhound. They make too many stops, man. Other than that, there's Amtrak, but Priceline would be my number one all the way. Guaranteed.
Eric, thank you. I will look into that. That might end up saving me an awful lot, and I could also have a car.
Funner, too. If you're really into it, I'll show you step by step. It's so simple. It'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. I told the kid at the pretzel joint at the mall, we get talking all the time, he did it and rented a car to go to his sister's house in Maine, and we seen him the other day, and he was so thankful for me, you know, telling him about that Priceline deal. You know?
Beautiful. Beautiful. And it's through a major rental company that just doesn't have the business and would rather give it away for a little bit. Is that the idea?
They all do it. Every single one. Enterprise, Alamo, whoever they hook up with. They'll give you your choices there. You know what you want, mid-size. I mean, you don't get a 40-mile you can get an SUV if you want or something a little more mid-size. You know, we just got a little scooter to bang in real quick. And a Chevy Cruze, you'd be surprised. Those little cars, I mean, because I drive a big Chevy Tahoe, you know. You get in that little Chevy Cruze, it's pretty roomy inside. Got me and the wife. We had the kennel in the back with the dog, and a bunch of my duffel bags from the Navy were packed with clothes and shit for a 2-day trip. It was so simple. You know, that was a far trip. We were 18 miles from Augusta, Georgia, you know, way down south. I drove all the way down from Syracuse in one day.
It's cool to me that an old salt still has his duffel bag because I still have my laundry bag from the Air Force, and I have
my dad's blankets and shit from when he was in the Navy in the 40s.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
Fucking heavy duty, and we used to use them on the beach on Long Island, and they still, when I smell them, they still got that smell to it, you know. They still got like my dad's smell, kind of, just that smell, you know, of like your dad coming home, and I don't know, just like that, you know. My dad was like Popeye the Sailor anyway. You seen that picture of him I put up in Pearl Harbor?
He looks very much like you look, too. I mean, the acorn didn't fall far from the tree on that one. And it's interesting that he must have influenced you to go into the Navy as well.
Oh, big time. It was because he was in the Navy. That was the only thing I could think of. I didn't know anything about the Navy, only that I know I'm quitting fucking Newtown High School and I'm fucking getting out of the neighborhood and I'm going to go in the Navy. That's all. I used to just fly by the seat of my pants, and I'm 52 years old now, Ralphie boy, and I'm still doing the same shit.
Beautiful.
Fucking, I just dive right in. I don't even fucking really take time to think about anything.
50 years.
I'm glad I got my wife. She takes time and sits back and thinks things through, and she's more rational. I'm like fucking running around, you know. Let's do this.
And, does she want to come on the air and say hello?
No, I think she's watching the movie with the kid.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what they're watching. And that's about that. She's a farm girl, man. She's a good girl. And she's a huge hockey fan. She loves it.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I stayed up on the computer with the Rangers. They have a computer set up. You can see how the game is going. And I stood up through 2 periods, overtime periods, and watched the Rangers lose last night. And that was not fun. They really gave the Kings a good run for it. And
I think that they come back to the Garden. I mean, I don't think there's going to be no 4-game sweep, that's for sure.
Yeah, but
there's no way. I mean, the way the Rangers did Montreal, just got to. I mean, that was a close game. I mean, last night to lose that way, it's a fucking This is the best of the best of this year, so I don't want to see him go down in a 4-game sweep, you know. Fuck, man, I'm still following the minor league hockey, you know. We're still rolling with
all right,
that.
Eric, we're going to close it out, and promise me you won't wait this long to come back next time.
Anytime, just give me a call, let me know.
I will.
You know?
And, again, over and out, huh, man?
Yeah, man, it was good.
Good.
Hey,
good.
one good baseball card I could tell you about.
Oh,
Mark
absolutely.
Fidrich. Remember Mark Fidrich?
Bird. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bird. I
But
saw
I just
him.
seen it says a baseball card that has meaning to me. Here's a quick story. I'm leaving for boot camp. My dad's yelling at me. It's like 6 in the morning. I got to get to Fort Hamilton at the AFI station in Brooklyn.
Right.
I'm grabbing shit, and I got a wallet. I never had one before, and it's like empty with a Social Security card in it. So I grabbed a couple baseball cards out of my drawer and stuffed them in my wallet, and I left to boot camp with them. One was Mark Fidrich, and one was Tucker Ashford, third baseman for the Padres. I carried them around with me in my wallet in boot camp. There's a baseball card
nice
story.
Memory. That's a nice memory. People who haven't been into baseball cards or into growing up in a city where baseball is as important as it is, just don't understand. They just
they don't.
They don't understand the passion. They don't understand the loyalty to your team, and they don't understand that life can be going really well. And if the Giants beat the Mets 3 straight, and the Mets battled them in all 3 games, after battling the Cubs to a sweep early and losing in a sweep earlier in the week, after having a good week or two and really showing some signs of putting it together, and people don't realize how that could depress you when everything else is great. You're not a baseball fan, and that's the way it goes. And it ain't easy being a Met fan. And it ain't easy being a Met fan. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, it never is it?
No, even when they win, it never is.
One thing that they do have that I don't have is, growing up and having the Mets right there and Citi Field. That's good shit.
Nice.
You know?
Right. That's what
a lot of Yankee fans there, but I'm like, how can you be a Yankee fan? You live 350 miles away from Yankee Stadium.
Right.
There's nothing like going to the park. It's just that you got to go to the park and you got to take in a game, man.
Absolutely. All right, bro. We'll talk to you soon, bro. And I'm going to close it out by pushing the button. And thank you again. It was really terrific. Love talking to you. All right, man. Here we go.